Welcome everyone, and happy to see you all here that are interested in production and design. I'm Michael Bergman again. I use he, they pronouns. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is the non-academic requirements for the admissions program. And I'll walk you through what those are. But before we get into that, is there any kind of general questions about the program or anything that comes up first that you'd like me to answer? And then once I go through that session, I'd happily leave this open for you to just feel free, keep your camera on, jump in, turn on your mic and just ask questions. I'd love this to be a bit of a discussion and Q&A format rather than me just telling you things. I want to know what you're curious about as well. So any questions to get us started before?
How is this going to be delivered online?
That is the question of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for this fall and for this upcoming winter, we've been doing a lot of work on figuring out new ways of delivering our course content online, and it's actually gone quite well. We've learned a lot from this year, and we're getting better at it as we're going along. It's been pretty innovative in how we've restructured a lot of the course content to better apply to the reality of what production and what performances are right now. Obviously, we're not going to be working in the wood shop per se, but some of the skills and design skills and drawing skills and understanding of the larger philosophy and thoughts around putting a production together and designing for performance are still very applicable. And so much so that we've shifted all of our performances this year to an online format. And in December, you'll get some notification on our festival where we're showcasing all of the work that we've put together over the term. Later on in the later session after 3 o'clock, you'll get to see one of the shows and meet the team that did that, our clown show, and hear from them about what that transition was from doing it in person to online. So there's lots of things that we're kind of reconfiguring to still make a great experience online. Caroline, is there anything you want to add to that one?
Sure, I will, because this year I'm the chair of the school, and I also teach costuming. Is the thing that I usually do. I've been on faculty for about 10 years, so I have a lot of industry experience as well. And what we did this year to pivot, the first and second years take costume in the fall semester, and the third and fourth years take it in the winter. So for the fall semester this year, instead of doing kind of immediate training on sewing machines, we've created a unit of learning that is handmade moccasins, and we sent out a kit for everybody to make something to do the same project. And so it's like this: we zoom in from our living room or our bedroom or wherever we do our learning these days. And the first years did 5 weeks and made a moccasin with a beaded symbol on it. And in the middle of that unit, before we transitioned over to the second years, we had a guest speaker to come in and talk about the symbolism that's used in Indigenous beading, and specifically for moccasins, the different kinds of moccasins, and how we deal with appropriation and appreciation for different cultures as we do theatrical costume design. And the second years have now begun, and there's a lecture portion in there as well. So for example, we watch a film, we identify some of the key themes and concepts, and for an hour and a half, we do a discussion on what are some of the key design features in that film, how do other elements of design work with it. And the discussions are going well. So the first years are doing this for the first time virtually. The second years have adapted because they've been in school and are now virtual. So there's lots of ways that, as Michael said, we're learning, and we're creating all kinds of different projects and modules to facilitate what that is. And you will get to see some of it today through a couple of the projects that we've done since the summer.
How do you produce for the acting students online?
Go, Michael.
Sure. So in various ways. So our Shakespeare project right now, the actors are doing Richard III, and that's being produced as a radio play. So that's how they've decided to kind of redo that one. Our fourth year actors just finished up their filming session for a production of Love and Information by Carol Churchill. And the idea there was all of it was rehearsed over Zoom and then recorded into segments that are going to be edited together to produce the recorded version of the whole piece. So we're exploring and leveraging the platforms that are available to us virtually and testing out these platforms as well. The industry is moving very quickly in figuring out what is working and what isn't. So we've played. We're using Zoom, we're using Discord, we're using StreamYard, we're using Riverside, we're using every bit of software to get our hands on to develop what is the right answer and what's right for the project, and really embrace what the medium offers to us, and not try to fit what our idea of something into a new place, but rather what are we able to create with the opportunity we have this way. So questions from the chat. Program production, working with cinema or theater. We do live performance, so theater and dance is definitely our focus. This year, just by the nature of the medium, we are definitely embracing more cinematic and filmic elements. Our actors are working with cameras, and we are setting up shots, and we're framing the experience in more of this way. But fundamentally, we still our focus is on theatrical and dance for live performance in person, adapted in person right now. But yes, exactly, Caroline. These many of our graduates end up working in theater, in film. It's the skills and the concepts cross over. So you're not necessarily only skilled in one of the areas as you move out of the program. Which I think actually is a good segue to what the structure of the program is. So I'm going to share my screen here with you. And so this is the schedule on the production page, with the basic overview of our core curriculum here. So as Caroline mentioned, in the first 2 years, as in the foundational courses, what we call the umbrella courses, are listed here as production technique. You cover costume, scenic design, lighting, sound, and projection, as well as theater practice, stage management, and things like that, all around these umbrella courses. And you alternate over the weeks over that. And you do that for 2 years in cycle, building up those foundations across all of those aspects. At the same time, you're taking courses in theater and dance history, as well as general production courses that are shared. Elements of production is shared with the actors and the dancers, so that you're seeing everyone's getting that full experience of what it takes to put a production together. And then as you move up into your third and fourth year, your production technique course becomes your show call, what we call it, your show call, your production course. So that's where you have the opportunity to work on an actual production that the school puts on, either working with the acting program or the dance program or other production opportunities aside from those. And the idea is that every semester you do some sort of a show call in that way. And then your classes, this is where you can specialize if you wish in taking professional courses that dive deeper into the discipline that you're interested in. So lighting design, set design, sound design, projection design, costuming, etc. And we have a wide list of courses on our table that can go into all of those, and I can answer any questions on specifics of those if you wish. And then all of that leads up into your 4th year, where the expectation is that you're doing a large show call component, and you do an independent study project as a culmination of your 4 years of experience, and crafting that into a project that you're passionate about creating. And that can take on various forms, from creating your own show to a written project to a research creation project that's housed within an academic sense as well. So I'm now going to talk about the non-academic requirements for admissions. So starting from the school performance page, just to show you how to get there as well, you'll see the page for prospective students along the top. And then production and design. And then scroll down to non-academic requirements here. So these are the requirements. As was mentioned earlier, it's due by February 1st or 10 business days from your application submission date, whichever comes later. So go into each of these. Written statement, 400-word statement explaining why this program. Basically, why do you want to join production and design? Highlight your areas of interest, how this program fits into your personal and artistic goals, and what your experience might be. And there's submission instructions for each of these on how to turn that into a PDF and where to submit that through. So follow those instructions for all of that. Your portfolio. So here we want to look at anything that you feel you want to share with us related to theatrical or performance or creative skills. So if you have experience working with creating shows, designing, any paperwork, any sketches, any drawings of that, that's wonderful. If you've been a stage manager, prompt scripts or notes from that is great. If you've designed some things, any pictures or illustrations of that is wonderful. Models that are built. And then if you haven't done theater, that's okay too, because we just want to see what your creative and artistic interests are. So if you have sketches, if you're a photographer, if you're, if you've done filmmaking, if you've painted, if you do sculpture, anything that kind of shows where those interests and skills are, show us pictures, show us drawings, show us videos of that. And please share that as a folder. Google Drive is preferred, or another content provider like Dropbox or whatever you might have. And provide a link to that in a PDF file that you'll then upload with the same instructions as in the other places. So we can, don't concern yourself if you don't feel like you have a lot of theatrical experience. We're open to looking at all of those kind of creative outlets. Next is a recent photograph of yourself. That's as that is.
Michael, there's just some questions from students in the chat.
Oh, absolutely.
One is, can their portfolio be made into a presentation?
Sure, if you like. Yeah, if you want to structure how you want to show your work and give us the through line through it, by all means, a presentation would be wonderful.
And the other question is, how long should the portfolio be?
Whatever you want to share. I mean, I think within reason that we're going to be looking at these, so maybe an hour-long presentation wouldn't be appropriate, but I would say personally, at least, I'm happy to see more than less. So even if you're not sure if throwing something in and you really like it, go ahead and put it in. There isn't a specific minimum or maximum on the number of pieces. Thanks, Red. Yeah, I see the chat here. I think Caroline wants to take this one.
I'm actually going to suggest that we go through that we finish off what are the non-academic requirements and have the portfolio as a major discussion, because there are lots of questions about it.
Yeah.
And let's have a look at everybody while we have that conversation again. So we'll finish this part off first and come back.
Perfect. Thanks,
Thank
Caroline. Will do. So recent photograph of yourself, self-explanatory. 2 reference forms. So one from a current or past academic or personal reference, guidance counselor, teacher, professor, someone that has worked with you. And the other one should be a work-related reference. And there's details on what those are there. And again, submission instructions explaining how to put those in. We'll contact you about doing an online interview later on with instructions, and that will be in the spring. Assessment fee. So there's a $50 Canadian assessment fee that has to be paid in order for the submission to be reviewed. There's 2 ways of doing that payment. One is via a Canadian bank account with instruction there, basically doing a bill payment to Ryerson. Alternatively, there's the Western Union option there. And there's other links for any questions on how that might work. And going back to the Choose Ryerson applicant portal, that's where all of this is handled in. So as described earlier on, once you've applied and you have access to that, that's where you check your information, and that's where you'll update your contact information, complete your references, and upload all of the documents that are listed here. So I'm going to stop the share, and let's look at some questions here. Okay, does someone want to take the assessment fee question?
Sure. I think the assessment fee is it's also called an application fee, and there's just an administration charge because somebody has to collate all of the things that you submit to us. They have to be reviewed, and then we call you for an interview. So that's why it's called an assessment fee.
The other question around the portfolio. Does it have to depict a theme or connect to one another, or can they be completely different? There is no guideline on that. Both are very acceptable. If you want to structure everything into such a way to connect your work together to show a trajectory of your work and your process, that's wonderful. If you're the kind of artist that dabbles into lots of different things, let's see all of it. There's no right answer for this. We're just trying to get a sense of you as a creative individual. What is considered work in the terms of the work reference?
I think that one, we ask you for 2 references, and if you haven't had a part-time job and you only have school references, you have a teacher that taught you theater or some aspect of theater or fine art or painting or something, send us 2 teacher references. But if you've had a part-time job and you can offer us 2 different kinds of references, it would refer to, one would be teaching and one would be somebody that you have worked with. It's not somebody who's necessarily a family friend and not somebody who is your peer in age, but rather somebody who has a bit of perspective on how you can perform in the workforce in an educational environment and how you would respond in, sometimes it's in situations of creativity and or adrenaline and meeting deadlines and things like that. So those are the kinds of references that we're looking for.
Yep, it can definitely be from a volunteer position. It does not have to be paid work.
Just a reminder, we have 10 minutes left of this section.
Thanks, Red. So what other questions do you have? What do you want to know about this program? Why are you interested here? Let's meet now already, and let's chat about things.
So Caroline mentioned adrenaline. Can you go into that That sounds exciting.
Well, because it's interesting, it's a really nice opportunity to meet all of you. Michael and I both teach in the first year. You will encounter both of us. I'm looking and seeing Adam and Anna Sophie are here as well, and I don't know if you're here to talk about the program as well. I suspect so, and I'd love to give each of you an opportunity. We work to deadlines, and we make shows. We do about 13 a year, and in the virtual world, we seem to be finding our way through that. We're doing 8 this semester, and so there's lots and lots of work to be done. And we describe our theatre deadlines as the best on-time delivery service. So we can't be late. When the curtain goes up, whether it's virtual or on the stage or in a cinema. And that's what I mean by the adrenaline. And there's, lots of work that we do. We work together, we collaborate. It's that. And the fact that we love what we do, we're here because we love it. And I think Sophie and Adam, you'd agree with me. I'd love to give each of you an opportunity to propose something about the program and why you're here and how you love it. And maybe that will also inspire some conversation.
I will gladly go first. When I was applying to schools, I was really interested in, creative industries, obviously, not the program at Ryerson, but, I love theater. I love costuming. I love the whole idea of creating a show. So I was tossing between like film and theater, and I was like, which way do I go? And I realized that the program at Ryerson, this program, the skills are so transferable that you can not only have a very successful career in theater, whether that be in any department, but you can also take those and go anywhere with them that you want. And it's just a great program that'll teach you a lot of things in a very short amount of time, because you just sort of go into it, you get the experience, and that's really how you learn rather than, reading about it.
Yeah, and I always tell people the reason why I went into theater is because of the sense of community that I always got from high school, or be it when I was a dancer, et cetera, et cetera. And it is something that is so prevalent in the School of Performance, and something that I wholeheartedly appreciate and love so much about our program. First to fourth years, I've never really felt like there was a big divide between years. Everyone sort of acknowledges that you're here for a reason and you're here for the exact same thing. And everyone is just really good friends, and people are here to help you. People want you to succeed. I feel like that's very big. All the professors, everyone, your peers, they just want to see you thrive in this program. And that's exactly why I love this program so much.
I would agree. The sense of like almost family that you gain so quickly, because not only like, I remember in high school, my high school teachers were like, oh, university, it's so much more distant. You don't feel like the connection, like whatever. But I find that it's a lot more personal, and that I can talk to my professors and I can go to them and be like, hi, like I need help with this, or I have a question, and they will take their time to like really help me, because again, they want to see you succeed. Like that is the biggest part. And since this is such a group sort of program, like you can't be an individual and like thrive, like you are part of a team. So like when you're putting on a show, you need to help each other out, and that goes for students and professors. And I really find that amazing about our program.
We are fundamentally a very small, closely knit family in this school. And unlike other, as Adam mentioned, like it's not in other university programs that I've experienced. I mean, everyone here knows each other's name. Like we get to know each other very, very well. And Caroline and I and all of us, we see the progression of each of you through 4 years as well. And we have direct connection. We work on shows together, which is a incredibly close type of experience that way. So you're certainly not a number over here with us. You also can't hide.
I will also say, so I'm supposed to be facilitating, but I also did graduate from this program. That connection also continues after graduation. I graduated last year, and I'm still very close to the school because I work here. But friends of mine who graduated a few years ago are often really close with people that they graduated It's a really good way of networking and meeting other people in the theater industry or in adjacent industries, because Ryerson is a known school. This program is well known, and people know what this program is like. So applying for jobs after you graduate or during your time at Ryerson, there's some recognition there.
I was wondering what the process of sort of working on a show as a student looked like assigned a show.
Yeah, so in this year is a little different, of course, but in general, in your first year, you're kind of observing shows, and you shadow positions, and you kind of learn what that is. And then as you move up into the upper years, you gain increased levels of responsibility on the shows. And it's a combination of we put out a kind of wish list to gather your interest and feedback of what kinds of positions and kinds of roles you'd be interested in taking on, and that's matched with the skills and courses that you've taken that would align with that, and then seeing what the needs of that season are, and a complicated jigsaw puzzle of assignments that work that way to hopefully give you a position that fits with what your goals are and what you're looking for, as well as learning something that you may not have necessarily thought that you're going to learn coming right into it. So giving you that breadth of experience as well.
If you're interested in stuff like acting and directing and writing, is there an opportunity to explore those things as a production student?
You can take the acting and dance minor as a production student, which does allow you to take some of those courses, however, not with any performance opportunities specifically within the school. There is also a directing class that you are able to take. And we certainly have had production students that do have an interest in writing and do continue that through. And opportunities in things like your final independent study or other things like that could connect to writing. And looking even further down the road, we are launching the MFA in dramatic writing very soon as well. So that's another potential endpoint a couple of years on.
I'm going to just address a couple of the questions in a roundabout way related to the portfolio and applications. And just to reassure you, if you find yourself applying to our program and thinking, wow, this is the thing I have to do, or I just won't survive, or I'm so passionate about getting into this realm of work, then stick with that goal, stick with that dream, hold on to your passion, and chances are that it will materialize. And I would say the priority when I review, Michael and I review applications. There's a couple of faculty members who do. Everybody who applies and submits the material for the non-academic requirements will have an interview. So you'll have an opportunity to speak with us. It's usually about 15 minutes to talk about your goals, your experience, and why you want to join the program. Your 400-word statement, why you want to join us, maybe what inspired you to want to join the theater, and the kinds of goals that you have, I would say is a really important part of it. It lets us know how you express yourself, what your ideas are, and even if your ideas are unformed, that's fine. It at least gives us a sense of what you're there for. Your portfolio is not the most important thing. It will allow us, I don't want that to be the thing that frightens you off. If you think you don't have something, come to the interview and we'll discuss it with you, and maybe there's a way we can help you get a portfolio. But if you've ever taken photographs, if you've ever done drawings, if you have paintings, if you've made things, if you've had a woodshop class, or if you've had a sewing class and you've made something, those are the kinds of things that you can bring in. If you've made clothes in a class anywhere during high school and you want to bring that to your interview, it's easy for us to take a look at something like that. So don't be intimidated by these things, but they're really just opportunities for you to focus your interest. And back to my use of the word adrenaline, we're really passionate about what we do in the school, and we're really, really busy. So the fact that you are willing to make an application and that you really want to join us in this program chances are that you'll be able to demonstrate that to us through this application procedure. It's not simply you just send an application. It means that we're much more interested in you, and we're much more interested in sharing the kinds of things that we do as you decide. The interviews, usually we schedule them mid-February, mid-March, that kind of time frame. And when you put your application in, you have an opportunity to sign up for an interview at that time.
So the interviews are virtual, right? I imagine.
Yep, they will be this year.
Okay, figured.
Yeah, to echo some of Caroline's points there, we've had students that have joined our program and have done very well, that, you know, across the spectrum of doing theater all through high school and having tons of experience, and then coming with us and continuing that on, or changing direction completely and finding a new aspect of it that they've become passionate about, and some that have never done theater before, and they were, you know, fine artists, and found a direction into set design or into costume design off of that. So it's a personality and a passion more than it is coming in already with skill sets. We're here to teach you the skill sets. That's why you're coming to join us. So we don't assume you have them to begin with.
I was just also curious, like, what kind of a day in the life for like a student looks like in the.
Adam, Anna Sophie, you want to take that?
Okay, I can take that. So, are you looking for a day in the life on virtual, like theater school, or do you mean back when we were in person?
I was like, I mean, I'm hoping I'll be in person, but I don't know.
Okay, I can give you a bit of both. So, for in first year, I had how many classes? I think 4 or 5, and it changes. Some of them change every 6 weeks. So you have, like, in your umbrella course, the first 6 weeks I had sewing classes, and then the next 6 weeks I had woodshop. And so they really mean it when you do everything, because it is not, you just don't do one thing. You focus on it for the entire semester. You do multiple things at all times. And a day in the life,
Balzacs.
Adam and I, we would one AirPod in each other. We would listen to Waitress, because we were so disgustingly theater kids, and we would walk to our classes
Hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Tuesdays would be our, for some reason, there's just a pattern Adam and I have that Tuesdays are our busiest class with 3 or 4 classes.
Yeah.
In first semester, first year, you have 1 elective as well that you take, so that's on top of your schedule. And then second semester, first years, you don't have an elective, which is very nice, because you're not working on a show in your first semester, but you are shadowing. And so that is also something that's very different from other programs, is that you constantly have new things to do. You don't have a set schedule from start to finish. You just, like, 1 week you might have like this many hours of call that you show up and you shadow and you look at someone who's stage managing, et cetera, et cetera. But right now, what? Sorry.
It definitely keeps you on your toes.
It most definitely does. Yeah. But you have your history classes, which I have always enjoyed. The teachers for history have been nothing but great. Then you have landmarks, production communication, so like production management, stage management, health and safety, where you learn to wear a helmet, because a lot of accidents happen if you're not safe. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I would like to add that, like, you get to spend a lot of time with your classmates. Like, your year, how many people do we have in our year? Like,
we have 54 maybe.
Yeah, it's like a small program, especially by year. So, like, it's honestly like kind of high school vibes. Like, you really make friends with everybody in your program, and like you just work on, like, yeah, it's just fun. Like, you get to see the same people every day. And you're in a section for the most part, but there's some that you come all together. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. That's all I can say.
It definitely is. Adam and I can do our introductions because I'm sure you're all wondering literally who we are.
That might be a good idea.
But I'm Anna Sophie. I'm in my second year of performance production. I am on the Ryerson School of Performance Student Union. So if you end up coming to Ryerson, you will see my face and you will see me in emails all the time because we wholesale at events and it's super fun.
I am Adam Rose. I'm also in my second year of performance production. And Adam and Anna Sophie and I actually are the class reps of this year. So that's also another fun opportunity that you can get into if you'd like. I've had a wonderful time doing that. And yeah, we can start with some of the things we have to talk about if you'd like.
Yeah, I think there was a question. Do you feel like you still have time for a part-time job on top of schoolwork? So last year, first year, I did not work. But I felt like I probably could have juggled a part-time job on top of it because obviously the school understands that you need to work if you have to work. And so they're very lenient about that. And you can shape your calls and you can shape obviously like your schedule and whatnot. If you can with your electives and everything, you can shape it so that you can juggle work. I am working this year, and as long as you have a really good manager who understands that this program is not like any other, and there will be some weeks where you're on call for a really long time, you may not be able to go in as much, you'll definitely be able to juggle it.
Yeah, I'm also in work right now. I work at the residence buildings of Ryerson. I work at the front desk. So if you decide to go into residence next year, you will see my face. But yeah, definitely as the most important part is communicating with the management that you're working with, because they need to know before you start the job that there are going to be like very uneven and weird hours that you're not going to be able to work because of calls and shows that you'll be on. So yeah, it really depends on the job and the manager.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there are some topics that we can cover, and then as we go along, you can ask questions if you have any questions.
Feel free, please. This is supposed to be a conversation,
Yeah,
and get to know you.
We might be working together next year, so this is just like a little first impression. It'll be cute. So some questions that we can cover are why Adam and I chose Ryerson and what the transition from high school to university was like. So I can go first and then Adam will go right after. So why I chose Ryerson is I didn't do a lot of theater in high school, but the people I knew who I worked with in theater, they always sang their praises about Ryerson. Always. There's never a single person who had anything bad to say about the school program. If I brought like other programs up, they'd be like, yeah, but it's not Ryerson. And so automatically I knew that obviously the school was very special. And I researched it more. I watched every single blog, read every single blog or vlog that was to do with the Ryerson School of Performance. And I was absolutely obsessed, fell in love. It's like, I want to go here. And I just, from my interview and from going on campus, which I'm so sorry that you guys can't do this year, but I completely fell in love with the school, and I could tell that it was such a tight-knit program from what I could observe from like people walking by. And like there's a show going on when I went for my interview. I think it was Clown. No, it was not Clown. Never mind. But I got a feeling that this was a very, very good school, and I was correct. So, and yeah, Adam, you can go.
One of the reasons why I chose Ryerson, along with Anna Sophie's points, obviously it's a great school, but the location, was a huge reason for why I chose Ryerson as well. I thought it's right in the heart of Toronto. Literally, it's right dab square in the middle of downtown Toronto. And I thought that what better place to start a career in the entertainment business than near like the 5 biggest theater companies in Canada, like we have Soul Pepper, we have we have all of the big names, right? And a lot of what our industry is networking. And not only do you get to make connections with professors, but they can help you make connections to other people, and when you're applying for jobs, like you have great references. And yeah, I just knew that the advantage of being downtown would really help me like jumpstart my career. And the education is amazing as well. Plus, downtown's fun.
I agree with Adam. I'm from Vancouver, so I don't live, or like I didn't live in Ontario, or honestly hadn't really been to Toronto before I went for my visit and my interview. So that was also a huge part, is that I didn't feel like I could have gone to a better school in BC than this school in Ontario. And the transition from high school to university. So I feel like my high school at least hyped it up a lot. They told us that it would be like hell, and like professors would not listen to you, and you would have to do it. You have to have all your like everything in on time, even if you had something going on in your personal life, et cetera, et cetera. And I definitely can say that's not true. If anything, this program has been more understanding than my high school like teachers have been. Like, I can email my profs and be like, hi, I have something going on. May I please have an extension on this, because I cannot get this done. And it's been drilled in our heads from the very beginning, from orientation, that everyone at the School of Performance just wants to see you succeed, and they just want to be able to help you get to where you want to be. And they've done nothing but uphold that. So if you're worrying about the transition from high school to university, please don't. As long as you work hard and as long as you communicate well, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I see a question in the chat. John Mitchell, hi. Res life. Now, when I tell you, Anna Sophie's actually in the room over there. We met each other on the first day of orientation, and now we live together because I love this girl so much. We spent every waking hour together. I'm not even joking. We had the same schedule both semesters. We took this, it was just, res life, it does not get better. It is one of my favorite experiences I've had of my whole life. I mean, I haven't lived that long yet, but I doubt there will be a moment where I look back and I was like, oh no. Like, if you can go on res, I strongly, strongly recommend.
I absolutely agree. And I also feel like what I got from residents, Adam and I, our other roommate, is not in the School of Performance. She is an RTA, and we met because of residents. And the amount, you just get to meet a lot of new people who you might not meet if you're just outside of the School of Performance. I've met so many cool people in, I don't know, business, environmental studies, et cetera, et cetera. So if you can live on residence, I strongly recommend it. However, if you cannot, something I always tell people is, because of how tight-knit the School of Performance is, you will still get the sense of community that residents would also give you. Adam and I just got lucky that we got both of it. However, if you like commute, or if you don't want to live on residence, it's completely fine. You will not be missing out that much just because you're in the School of Performance, and you will have such a tight-knit group of friends.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt. Have you found that residence is worth it during COVID?
I work in residence at the moment, so I can give a little insight on that. I've been talking to the students, obviously, that's my job. But I think so, yeah, the people are still making connections, people are still making great friends. I see them hanging out outside in the quad, they go out and get meals together. They're, just because there are certain restrictions doesn't mean that like those connections aren't being built. However, I must say that there is some holding back, obviously, because you can't do all the things that we would normally do. But it's still a great experience. I would still go. But it's definitely a personal choice. If you're looking for like that crazy, everyone's in like one dorm room for like the whole night and you're like going like really hard like that, you can't do that. Illegal. We're in the red zone. We can't do that. But it's still a great experience nonetheless. You're on campus, you're downtown, you're in the heart of the city. I think it's still worth it. I hope that answered your question. Yeah,
I did. I wanted to ask, what was your guys' favorite course that you did?
I don't know if I can pick one. I have to think. Anna, you go first.
I think that I honestly didn't think I would enjoy carpentry as much as I did, just because I went in being like, I'm a stage manager. I'm not like, I don't want to. This seems like all the big machines and like, oh, it was so scary. But I honestly really, really enjoyed it. And Will Sutton, the carpentry prop, is a legend. I love him. He made the entire class. Like, it would not have been as fun if it weren't for him. But I also think that I really enjoyed our production management and stage management classes, just because that's what I'm interested in. And every prof they bring in is amazing. So
yeah. Just to give you as many options, I'm not going to mention any of the ones that Anna Sophia has made, even though I do love those. History, I'm not a history man. I'm not. However, Miss Natalie Alvarez has made me love her class. She makes it so interesting, and we're talking about like current issues and like connecting it to it's Canadian theater history, and you might be like, oh, like whatever, but she makes it so much interesting, and she connects with you, and her projects are fun, like a lot of collaborative work. It's all about collaboration in this school, and yeah, history is actually lovely. I look forward to it. And right now we're doing sort of a business course with a new professor, Oasis, and I'm loving it. I hate like math. I hate all that stuff. It's not math, but like it's the business side of it. And I didn't know I'd enjoy it as much as I do, but I look forward to like writing notes about it. I'm like, what's a balance sheet? And like, it's fun. It's fun.
I don't think that will ever be me, but I respect it.
I thought so too. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Jules, I completely get that. I did not do well in accounting in high school, but
God,
this is
absolutely not.
very, very interesting.
Yeah. I didn't even take accounting. Let's look at this. Canadian or theater or both?
Both.
It's both, yeah. But there's a big focus on Canadian. Red?
I will just note, so the main history classes that we teach in the first year focus on general theater history. It is very Eurocentric, and the teachers acknowledge that because unfortunately that is what they have textbooks for currently. We also do have a Canadian theater history and a Canadian dance history course. There's also, as a upper level professionally related course, a performance styles in the world course, whose name I am currently forgetting, but it does cover cultures internationally. So there are options to learn about more global theater as well.
I see a question from Josh saying, are there any stage direction courses? Anna Sophie, this is all you.
I'm pretty sure any like directing courses would be a professionally related course, so that you wouldn't take that until third year. Correct me if I'm wrong, Red.
Yes, there is a directing class. It is worth 2 credits, so you take it for a full academic year. There's a course in the first semester and a course in the second semester that you have to take both of, and that is a professional level course, so you can take that in your 3rd year or your 4th year. And the class that I mentioned earlier, it's called the Global Stage, and it is a really wonderful course about performing practices all over the world.
Awesome. If there are any other questions, I'm going to look at our little prompts if we.
I have a question. Would you say that you gained the same benefit from the classes over Zoom virtually as you did in the first year when you presumably were not doing online school?
Well, that's a tricky question because they're different in a way, obviously, because we cannot be in person. I would rather not be in person during a pandemic, which is why we're not. But yeah, there's definitely a difference between being in the theater, having those like hands-on moments. But I don't think that the learning has decreased because we're on Zoom.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. Like academically, we're getting the same experience or like whatever, like than you would in person. Like your production management, you're still doing the same projects that you would do, except maybe it's like switched a little bit, group projects, if you're able to meet over Zoom, etc., etc. So academics wise, you're getting the same. You're definitely getting the same level that you would in person. The only difference is obviously shows are different.
But I have been in contact with the first years who live in residence because I see them come in and out. I'm going like, hey, you know, how are you? How's your life going? And they seem to be really enjoying it. They, you know, are doing the best they can with Zoom. Everyone is. And I feel like all programs, you know, are trying to deal with the same problem. It's not just this one that's being affected. So I think you have to take that into consideration as well, that, you know, everyone's affected by it, right? Everything's going to be a little different.
We have 10 minutes left as a
Woo.
warning.
My gosh.
Oh, if anyone has any questions about moving, because like I said, I'm from Vancouver, so I'm not from Ontario, so I did the whole move, all of it. So if you have any questions about that, if you're not from Ontario, I can probably answer a few questions. Or if you have any questions about student
Anything.
life, any advice, if you want us to give you any advice, because I know people were asking a lot of questions about portfolios and whatnot. Adam and I have done
I can speak a little bit on that while we wait for some questions to come in. Because I personally, I didn't have too much theater experience coming into this program. And the theater experience that I did have, I was on stage in high school. So coming into the like application process, I was kind of weary. I was like, I don't know, like if they're gonna see me as like a viable, you know, sort of option. But I came in with my little like art, like I had my drawings, my costume designs, my set designs that I just sort of like, I mean, technically I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like interested enough that I was like, this is like really cool. Like I would love to see this on stage or like all this stuff, you know, X, Y, and Z. And I brought it in and I explained what they meant to me, how they would be perceived on stage, whatever. And they took that and they're like, I can see that he has a vision, that he is interested in this and that we can make something out of what he has. So as long as you have that spark, that motivation to like do this, they're going to see that and they're going to understand. You're going to get that interview and you'll see us next year.
I definitely agree with that. I came from a very strong dance musical theater background and didn't know I wanted to go into production until like the summer before grade 12. But I went in with scripts that I had written. I went in with like my binders, my stage management binders, all of that. As long as, and like photos of sets that I had helped paint and whatnot. As long as it doesn't have to be theater related, as long as they can tell that you're passionate about what you want to do, you'll be okay.
Just a quick note about, we've talked a lot about residence, and while living in Toronto is wonderful, you also can commute to campus if you live in a surrounding area. I commuted for 3 years of my degree, and it's not always the easiest, but it's very possible. There's a lot of people in the program who do commute.
That is true. There's a huge percentage of people who use public transit, and it's very easy. There's many subway stations that are right by campus that it's easy to access.
We also currently have students who are from all over Canada, who are living all over Canada right now, studying as well as internationally. I think the farthest we have is a student in South Korea, and she is attending classes and working on a show, and I don't think it's the easiest for her right now because of the time difference, but it is actually happening, and she's doing amazing work.
Awesome.
Margaret asked, how easy was the move? The move honestly wasn't too bad, just because I was so excited to come to this school. So I kind of honestly probably like, I think my parents were a little like, she's like too excited for this. but but it was honestly okay. I moved with one of my friends from high school, even though she dropped out a few months later, in a different program, but we lived together, so that was good. And you join a lot of residence group chats. You join like the Facebook group for incoming students, so you already have an idea of who you're going to meet and who your peers are going to be. And I know Adam and I were a part of the performance production group chat when there was like 5 people before we met everyone else. So the move is honestly not too bad. It's exciting, it's fun, it's a new chapter. As long as you have a good attitude and you look at it as if you're moving forward, you will definitely see that.
Honestly, I had this weird insecurity for some reason that I feel like a lot of people can sort of agree with that. Like, I was like, oh, am I going to bring too much stuff? Or like, people are going to perceive me weirdly, or like, oh my gosh, Res, so many new people. But the staff, not only in residence, but like in your program as well, are so welcoming, and everyone's going through the same thing. Everyone's like going through this huge transitional period in their life. Like, it's just, you should be very excited about it. The move is like, I wish I could do it again, honestly. Like, I was so nervous, but I would do anything to go back to that first day, meeting my roommates, like, you know, moving on my stuff, like, just absorb it, really sit in that moment as long as you can. You're gonna love it.
I definitely agree with that. Any advice on living cheaply in Toronto?
Don't buy Uber Eats.
Cheap in Toronto, don't. They should not. They don't belong in the same sentence. Yeah, I think budgeting your money, getting a part-time job is obviously very good. And if your parents are able to help in any way, that's good. I know I'm very lucky that my parents are helping me with school, but yeah, don't buy Uber Eats.
It seems like a good idea at the time, but just make some toast instead.
There is also opportunities on campus for jobs. There is the program whose name will come to me in 1 second. Unfortunately, Michael, do you remember the name?
The work study programs, or?
Yes, the work study program. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a variety of things. The career boost.
Thank you.
That's what it is. Does give you opportunities to do work within the program and within other programs as well. We provide employment to students as TAs where we can, and there's other and research assistants. There are a bunch of internal job options as well.
And one of the things I found, I had a career boost position for one of Michael's classes last year. And one of the really nice things about that, not only was working with students that I was working with other places at the school as well, it was really flexible around my production schedule. So when I was working on a show and was very busy, Michael was also typically working on that show and is very understanding.
I hope that answered the question. Awesome.
I also wanted to say one other thing about the aspect of community. I mean, we have our School of Performance, but it's important to note that also lives within a bit of a larger community of FCAD. And FCAD, the Faculty of Communication Design, which is our faculty, in your upper years, you definitely have opportunity to take courses in other schools within FCAD, which we definitely encourage to think about. But also, there's a lot of really cool research that's going on in FCAD that you can meet faculty and get involved with some of the research projects that are happening there. There's some really interesting work because this is the faculty of like pushing creative technology and where the future of performance is and all of this. So, you know, I think we'll see some of the things in the next section, but definitely check out the FCAD website and see the involvement of that larger community that we're pretty heavily involved in as well.
What kind of research projects?
For myself, I'm working in robotics and performance. So choreographing robots and dance is my kind of main aspect right now. So we have.
How do you choreograph a robot to dance?
Slowly.
If you come back to the main room, we'll be showing a video shortly about that.
Perfect.
And on that note, we are going to wrap up here. There's a quick break for 5 minutes until 2:35. And if everybody could then rejoin us in the main room, the link should be in that confirmation email that you all received. Then there will be a few videos and discussions there before another breakout room for production based discussion after that.
Thank you, everyone, for
Awesome.
listening.
I hope to
Thank
see you next year.
Yeah, see you next year, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Right,
Thanks for
bye.
coming.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.